The next candidate in our Parawing test is the Ozone Pocket Rocket, featuring a sleek leading edge profile supported by small plastic rods that reinforce the front of the wing. The Parawing is made from very modern high-quality double ripstop material and has color-coded thin lines for the bridle. The connection points of the bridle lines are sewn onto the fabric on both sides with delicate webbing. It's very nice that at the tip end we have an opening on both sides so that water can drain out immediately. On the B level, all the connection points are linked together from tip to tip with a line, which ensures that the profile remains more stable even in the tip-to-tip area. Here again the color-coded bridle lines where A level, A and B level are locked, C and D level are marked in a different color, so that orientation easy here. The control bar has a thin diameter and is ergonomically shaped so that you really get a very comfortable grip and a very pleasant feeling when handling the B-wing. The Ozone Pocket Rocket always unfolds very quickly, even when you launch it from the water. Here, the high quality of the fabric really pays off compared to the competition. The slim, slightly more elongated profile of the Ozone Pocket Rocket stands out compared to other competitors. It has a bit less overall base pull than the F2 Parawing previously tested, but the power that the Pocket Rocket generates is directed almost 100% forward. There are essentially virtually no lateral forces present here. The profile is very efficient, and thanks to its rigidity when pumping, you get a lot of response quite easily. When flying, you immediately notice that this is a company that really knows exactly how to design such a Parawing. As mentioned, the profile is very efficient and absolutely stable, and the entire bridle line support also ensures very nice profile stability, without the edges or the tips folding in at all. In terms of performance, the Ozone Pocket Rocket currently offers, among the Parawings we have tested so far, the best performance in terms of speed and also when it comes to upwind capability. With the Pocket Rocket, you can achieve the same angle to the wind as with a really very good normal conventional wing. When steering into the individual maneuvers, the Pocket Rocket from Ozone behaves very accurately and precisely. However, you also have to make sure to really keep the line tension constant. To keep the line tension constant, the curve radius and the steering from foil and wing must be done at the same time, then it all comes together very smoothly. Sometimes, if you fail to maintain the line tension, or if the steering input comes too late, then the Pocket Rocket can sometimes stall behind you and you might even get a collapse. In that regard, the F2 Parawing was in fact a bit more forgiving. Although this sport is still incredibly young, we would still like to divide the Parawings into different categories. There is, for example, the freeride sector, which can be clearly seen in the test we found to be very well represented by the F2 as well as the downwind category. Here the Pocket Rocket stands out by far as the best because it can be easily hauled in even on a slight broad reach. When hauling it in, it doesn't generate as much pressure as the F2, and it can also be reliably let out again at any time. And even though in the test we compared the 4.2 F2 Parawing and here the Pocket Rocket in 3.6, but also as you can see in the background the 4.2 Pocket Rocket, you can see that the whole thing works even more easily
and simply in the downwind range.
And especially because, for example, while riding down the wave, the flower is smaller, which means the risk of it inflating if you haven't grabbed everything is correspondingly lower. The whole thing works just as well here as with an ANSYS Roger, which, however, only has this strength on its own. So whether you're out on the open sea connecting and riding swell waves, or like in our test shown, here using a light swell in Hanstholm to ride the waves, it's really an absolutely great pleasure, which works excellently with the Pocket Rocket. One small point we noticed, the bridle lines, especially the rear level, are coated in such a way that they stick together and can sometimes get a bit tangled. This can mean that here and there you might need to quickly untangle them before launching. This is actually just a small remark. It happened only once or maybe twice, but it is something that simply did not occur with other models. For the conclusion, things get a little bit more complicated again. So we'll just let the footage run for a bit now. What wind range do we have here with the Ozone Pocket Rocket? 3.6 and 4.2. Could both, whether with 74 kilos or 90 kilos, be ridden comparably to a 4 to 4.5 square meter wing.
So you choose a similar size here. For comparison, we also had the 4.2 from F2 in the test and the 5 square meter Niche Morph. The result was that in a test with a steady 16 to 19 knots, you could pump and ride with the 3.6 and 4.2 with a weight difference between riders. The F2 with its 4.2 square meters was a bit more compact in shape, it had a bit more power, but was really only a nuance earlier than getting going. With the 5 square meter Niche Morph to give it away up front, the test for that will also be coming in the next few days.
You could only get going in the very top wind gusts. To keep everything running, you actually needed comparatively more wind. As mentioned before, as described earlier, the Ozone Pocket Rocket provided the most pleasant feeling in the hand.
This was because the Parawing had the least possible lateral force and really pulled straight forward. And its steering response was also very precise and direct. This overall created the sportiest and most high-performance feeling. In addition, it was simply easy to pull in this wing. For those who have practiced here and there before, or for people who are simply very talented. Because one definitely has to say, this is a sport that really places a lot of demands on the rider in terms of sense of balance, foil control, balance, a steady hand, calm steering, and so on. That is an important point that you have to keep in mind with all Parawings if you're considering getting into this sport.
This also applies to the Ozone Pocket Rocket, even though this was currently the most precise wing with the least amount of collapses. Just like the F2, it was simply already much easier than the first models we rode. Accordingly, our final recommendation is also based on this. Anyone who has a good feel for it can foil well, is good at wing foiling, or is good at prone surfing, and is generally a skilled multisport athlete,
or anyone who already masters SUP downwinding with a paddle. The Ozone Pocket Rocket will definitely be one of the best Parawings on the market right now, because it simply offers the most efficient performance with the lowest error rate.
For those who aren't quite as experienced overall, meaning anyone who needs a more forgiving moment hand, doesn't want the wing to immediately react super aggressively to steering commands with stalls or anything, they likely feel more drawn to the F2, although if you manage to get just a little bit better at it, even by a small amount, The Ozone also works very well.
And if you don't want to do the Balz-Müller backflip straight away, you can say that the profile stability is sufficient for the first jumps.
So the Ozone Pocket Rocket is the one among the Parawings we've tested so far that best demonstrates the kind of potential this sport still holds. And finally, a quick look at the components we used for testing. Here we have 90 kilos on a 93-liter board with length and a 1100 AFS enduro foil,
and a 63-liter core roamer with the 74-kilo rider and a 1050 vert front wing from core. And for anyone who wants to have just as much fun with the Parawing as we did during testing, you'll need to spend €919 for the 3.6 square meter model.